Hey, listen, has have you ever dealt with one ping, you hear it, and your whole body actually tightens and your breath feels like it's on hold, right? And then there's this that heavy sigh that just you need to just breathe to unlock that tightening of your shoulders, almost like you're holding your breath. Well, it's not that I have to go to the principal's office feeling that I'm talking about, but it's that I have to handle something that I'm not ready yet. And I don't want to deal with feeling guilty or the drama or that mask that I have to put on to get through this conversation. That's what we're talking about today. It's that text anxiety. And for me, I have what I call notification defense, and I turn most sounds off. You know, my phone, the sounds on all day, but I do see when those bubble notifications come up. I do see when someone calls, but I don't have to have that constant ringing in my ear, that constant what they call the Mevlo's dog, you know, that ring sound, and all of a sudden you feel that you have to have a reaction or you have to act. And so I don't have them going in my ear, but what I do have is I have that the notifications still pop up on my lock screen, right? And so the beauty of that is I get to decide. I decide when I can swipe left to open it. And the same thing happens when we have calls sometime. And I know you're probably saying, boy, she got right into this. Yeah, I'm getting right into this. So the same things happens when you have calls. One of the things a lot of us do is we have special ringtones. Well, I don't do that anymore, and I'm going to tell you why. One, when you have ringtones for certain people, it sends you through this instant spiral depending on who's calling. And so I set the boundaries. Actually, the only one that I have ringtone for is my husband. And I love it because it's this jazzy song that just makes me smile, just like my husband makes me smile, right? But I set the boundaries to avoid being ambushed. And I'm going to tell you a secret about those ringtones too. Anyone that knows you or who has been around you and ever hear your ringtones, they learn them too. So they know who you're ignoring when you don't pick up the ringtone because they know who that ringtone is associated with. So don't think you're fooling anyone. I just wanted to tell you that as a side note. So now, I am Michelle O'Neill, and you are on Unlearning Break Time Live. And so I just wanted to get right into it. So thank you for being here today. I am so glad that you are here because I think we're talking about something that is really important. Text anxiety. What happens when you get that text? And is that really a pattern? Well, yes, that is a pattern. It's the digital trauma echo pattern, or what I call the digital trauma pattern. And it's the spiral that we are sent into, and it's become a pattern because since tech has been growing and our ability to for people to have instant access to us has been growing, what we've been doing is we've been creating this pattern, and now it is probably fully integrated in your life. And I think for some of us it's time to break that pattern. Well, as a pattern, it's time to break it. So first, there are different types or different phases that we go through. I think someone asked me once, which do you think is most important, or which do you think happens? Is it the drama that ping creates? Is it the guilt, or is it the that mask that sometimes we have to put on? And my answer was it's a combination of all of those because you go through all of those phases. So I would almost say that it's phases because first hits is the drama alarm, right? It's that that person, and this is what's causing the anxiety. You know that drama is around this person. This person always brings some type of drama. When that bubble pops up, that specific name pops up, there's, you know, that there's some type of energy drain that's ahead, that's there waiting for you. And so your body, it preloads. It says, this is going to tilt my apple cart. This is going to change how I'm feeling today. This may derail my day, because it's the urgent, it's that urgency feeling, and it's emotional. It's all those feelings and emotions that are coming up in you right now, and it feels heavy. Did you get that? It feels heavy. And don't get me wrong, drama isn't always bad. I mean, we watch drama, right? But it is always expensive. It's going to cost. It's going to cost you emotionally. It's going to cost you mentally. It's going to cost you physically, because you're going to go through all these changes. So it is expensive. And then there's this second wave that we go through, and it's an immediate checklist of, oh my gosh, why am I so annoyed? You know, it's my whatever, your mom, your church sister, your client, or whatever it is, and I shouldn't feel like this. Well, we do sometimes, with certain people, right? And so I know you love them. I know you want to help them, but you do feel that way because you know that when you start that conversation, this is the energy that that person brings with them, and so it sucks you in, and that's just the way it is. And then that third wave, or that third layer that we're talking about, is that pretend mask. And so, you know, as soon as that you get on that call, you have to be a certain way or a certain person, because you know certain things you do can actually just send that person off, send them over. How do I say? Just send them going crazy. I can't even think of the word I'm looking for right now. In a tailspin. But you know, somehow that there's a tendency for that to happen. So it's, how do I have to be when I get on this phone? Oh, I have to be calm. Or when I respond to this text, I have to make sure that it doesn't come across any special way, or I have to think of every word, and that there's no connotation to it, that it can't be misconstrued, right? And so all of this is going through your head when you're dealing with this person, when you have to send them a text, or when you have to get on the phone with them. And so you also feel guilty for actually labeling everything. For I had to jump back to guilt. Labeling everything as drama, right? Who wants to be thought of as someone that's always bringing drama? Oh my gosh, here goes the drama, right? And so, like I said, it's now you have to put this pretense on. You have to say the right things. You can't say things the way you would naturally say them. So you're in a sense becoming somebody that you're not. And that costs double energy. One part to manage them, because you're looking for and seeking for the right words, is to manage their reaction. Let's get real. And one part is to hide your own spike, how you really feel, because again, how it will create, how it would impact how they react, right? So this loop that we're talking about, this pattern is so sticky, because how do I say it? Brain negativity bias, it tags potential conflict as top priority. That's just what it does. So when there's a potential conflict, your brain is saying, "Oh, tag it as a potential conflict," when there's negativity, right? And so to keep the peace, to carry that load, to make it smooth, we are also managing our energy and who we are. And so that phone, that constantly being available, it kind of blurs those boundary lines that we've created when we deal with people one on one. But it, that drama, when you have a phone, when you're tied to your phone, that drama can reach you anytime because there's always availability. There's also always instant access. So, are you following me here? And I mean anywhere, because who doesn't take their phone anywhere? And don't say you don't take it in the bathroom, because I'm going to tell you, you take it in the bathroom too. How many times have I been in a public bathroom and people are in the stall next to me talking on the phone, washing their hands, talking on the phone? In fact, I just read this week that your phone carries more bacteria than the toilet. That's scary. That's really scary. But if you think about it, your phone is everywhere with you. And everything you touch, everything in the air touches your phone. That was another side note and a thing that another rabbit hole. So I'm sorry for that. But here's what I want to ask you. When that one conflict, when that one contact, that one person pings you, do you feel the same three-step trauma? Drama, oh my gosh, guilt, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, and pretend. Okay, let me put on, how am I going to say this? How am I going to answer this? Do you go through all three, or just one, or two of them? Let me know. I would love to know if you go through that same pattern, that same those same layers that I was talking about. So we've gone through that, and I've explained the actual pattern, but I want you to understand the cost, because it hijacks your hours and it makes you hyper vigilant. There is one of the things that you deal with is mental fog and not being able to refocus right away, right? And I have to look every once in a while to make sure I don't miss any comments or anything. But not only that, it causes you to play that conversation over and over and over again in your mind, when you should be thinking on work, when you should be thinking on what you're doing or what you have to do. What you're thinking of is that conversation, and you can't switch. You're not able to switch because you're thinking about, did I say this right? Did I respond correctly? Why am I letting that bother me? All these things are in your head instead of the things that should be in your head. And, your emails, your projects, even your simple chores, they feel blurry. You're not thinking clearly when you're responding to that email to your boss, because you're thinking about that text that you just got, and you can miss so much because your brain isn't there and you're not present. But have you ever stared at your screen and forgot what you opened it for, because your mind is still in that aftershock? And that's what it is. You can't even, it's like that same feeling you feel when you walk into a room and you're like, I know I came in here for a reason. That's the same aftershock. That's the same reaction that happens when you're staring at your screen because you can't even focus on what it is. Then there's that emotional and physical exhaustion that you've created just by your body tightening, just by you're not breathing and not letting that air and that oxygen get through your veins and up to your brain and all that. And so you just ran, what I like to call it is, what you just did is you ran an emotional marathon. Your heart rate was up, your cortisol dumped. And actually research from University of Michigan says that brief social evaluation stress can actually cut your work memory. Remember, we were talking about that email that you have to give to your boss? It cuts your email memory by 20% for hours, not just a few minutes, but for hours. So they are paying literally for your non concentration because this hours that they're missing 20% of your concentration. And your body is saying, nap, and you're saying, keep pushing. So what do you do? What things do you do to try to bring yourself up to snuff? That's the right phrase, right? You reach for caffeine, you reach for sugar, and you start scrolling. But the problem with that is, especially with the caffeine and the sugar, you still crash. Simple as that. You still crash. And then another cost is resentment residue, right? So we talked about physical and emotional exhaustion, and we talked about the mental fog, but not a mental frog, but also the resentment residue. And what I'm talking about there is, why do they always need so much? This is what you feel towards them. Why are they always texting me? Why do they always need so much? And then you ask yourself, why do I keep letting this hijack me? Why do I keep letting this affect me this way? I don't have to react this way, right? You have control over your reaction, but you still keep spiraling. You still keep allowing them to hijack your day and your mood. Text anxiety. So, you know, there's a quiet anger sometimes that just is smoldering in the background, and it leaks into your tone with other people, and nobody did anything, but someone comes up to you right after you're sitting there and you just saw this text, and your coworker comes to you and you put it down and you're like, what? They didn't do anything to you. They just happened to be there and catch the residual of your text anxiety. And then I want to ask you also, sometimes this compounds. You have a bit of all of these. Sometimes you have your fog and you have your fatigue and you carry that resentment. And so that loss of bandwidth with that 20% really affects how productive you are, how effective you are in your workplace, in your family joy, and how you respond and react with your family, and even in your prayer time. And by the end of the week, you have actually run at least 5 emotional marathons. So no wonder you're tapped. No wonder this is hitting you hard. But there is a way to reclaim the ping. There is a way to shift. And I would not be here with you without telling you how to change that. And normally I don't keep you this long, but stick with me here because there is a solution. So, one of the things I do, you see the notifications on my phone and I'm talking to you. And so I don't want to concentrate on the things that are coming up. And so what I do is flip the phone. Out of sight, out of mind. If I can't see that notification, then it won't catch my eye. So I physically turn it face down so it doesn't affect me and doesn't catch my attention. I don't put the do not disturb on because for me, a lot of times when I put do not disturb on, I forget to turn it back on after I've done whatever I needed to do. And so this is just for immediate visual silence. That's what I do because I already have my sound off. And so I need immediate visual silence. The other thing is I enter a quiet space. Sometimes I just need either literal silence or low ambient music, but something to calm me. And those are good things to help calm you because silence allows you the space to think and to breathe, and low ambient music is soothing to the soul. And it signals my nervous system that we're safe. Now it's time for downshift. And that's so important. So, look, and my third thing, my favorite, is a touch of nature. There's something for me in my office right now. If I look to the right, there are two windows. And sometimes I'm sitting in my office and it's quiet, or I have my music on, and just looking outside and seeing nature at its best, seeing nature perform without needing me, and letting my eyes rest on a tree or the sky or a passing cloud. It just recenters my perspective. There's a whole world out there, a whole world not asking anything of me right now. That feels good, right? And I want you to remember that. So if some of these help you, and then my fourth, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to go through all of them, is my 90-second pause. And during that time on looking out the window, if I have time, it's just breathing. It's four in, breathing, four counts, breathing out, six counts. And I do that 10 times. And sometimes if I really need it, that's 90 seconds to actually regulate my breathing and drop my cortisol and reopen my working memory. And so that's a good thing for you. One thing I would encourage you to do is to whisper to yourself out loud if you can, depending on where you are, is it's just data. That's all that's on here. Data. See, now I have two notifications. It's just data. What you're getting when you see that person, that particular bubble pop up, because it's associated with a person that's sending you down that spiral, is a story that your brain wrote. You don't even know what's really going on. And you know that a text never gives you the full ramification of 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 the emotions or whatever behind that. And that's why I hate them anyway. Call me. And so it's just data, a story that my brain wrote. Pause and find the truth. I want you to write that down. It's just data, a story that my brain wrote. Pause and find the truth. Listen, your reentry cue would be to flip your phone back only when your breath is steady and you're ready and your shoulders drop. Then you can flip it back on and you decide, do I respond now? Do I schedule a response? Or do I archive it? Everything that comes on your phone does not need a response because you want to respond from clarity, not panic. And so I have a tiny challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, any guilt triggered text, phone face down. Do the 90-second nature window or whatever one of those practices I gave you works best for you. And then decide. Track how many urgent pings that you shrink to normal once your body is calm. And please, please, just I was getting ready to say text me, just message me, just hit my comments. If it's private, message me and let me know how many and how did it work and what you did, because I would love to know. That face down pause causes the power back into your hands. That's what it does. And once you're grounded, you decide, respond now, schedule it for later, or don't engage at all. You're in the driver's seat. You're in the power seat then. A text is data, not your destiny. Your nervous system can ask, do I have the capacity, or do I keep my peace? And you decide. That's leadership over your own energy. And before you flip that phone back over, will answering this move my purpose forward? Ask yourself that. Or am I replying purely to quiet my nerves for a minute? And that's all it's going to do, just for a second. But then the real drama begins. Look, if you're interested in what patterns are actually driving your life, I have this quiz that tells four of the most common patterns, and you can find out which one of those is driving your life, so that you can change it, so that you can stop it, so that you can reset it. And so just type quiz and I'll send you that link. And then if you've done with letting digital guilt run your day, look, DM me reset, because we can have 5 days together of private guidance to anchor self-approval and protect your bandwidth. I can help you. So here's the last thing I want to say to you. Guard your breath. And I know I've gone longer today, but this is so important to me. So guard your breath. Guard your bandwidth. And remember, the ping, it can wait. Your peace, it can't. Until next time, take care. Thank you for being with me. Bye bye.